appears we have a quorum. Like to call the meeting of the Development Committee of June 18th to order. We have a roll call.
Member Krajewski,
Here.
Member Chaplin. Here. Member Guston. Member Ozog. Here. Member Rutledge. Here. Chair Tornatori.
Here. And we do have a quorum. We end to public comment. We have three people who are here to public comment. The first would be Phil Lukihans speaking to item 6C. Still Lukihan.
Yeah, I'll be real quick. I represent the applicant. I'll be honest with you, I went through the hearing and there were no objections and I really was kind of surprised on what happened, so. The applicant is proposing a conditional use in an existing development, about 3.5 acres in unincorporated Willowbrook. The part of the property we wish to use as a auto repair shop has been used for 40 years as an auto repair shop. And when they came in for some zoning relief on something else, realized that they didn't have the underlying conditional use. So we're just asking to make that conditional use effective. That, like I said, this site is set up for this use. There's no other uses that really make sense at it. All repairs are being performed inside the building. No storage of inoperable vehicles or parts outside. It's an 8 to 6 p.m. business Monday to Sunday. No body work, no salvage. It's mostly, auto lube stuff and day-to-day kind of thing. So we would just ask for a recommendation to the county board that this be approved.
Thank you. And it's Vince Testatori on item 6A.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Vince Testatori and I represent the petitioner on 6A, which is Cermak Builders LLC. Our client, a little bit of background, is a real estate investment company, which is in the business of buying, improving, and either selling or holding residential real estate. And in more common terms, our client is in the buy and flip business. Essentially, they do hold properties, but it's always value added. In any event, it works out for our client and the community that they come into. They buy and flip or buy and hold properties throughout the Chicagoland area, focusing primarily in Kane and DuPage counties. And that's exactly what they have done in this case with respect to 6 South 381 4th Street in Eola. They purchased the property, as your packet reflects, in July of 2023 as a duplex. The record that's been given to you indicates that the property was actually built in the year 1900 as a duplex. It was always used as a duplex until sometime between 2012 and 2017, because we have photographic evidence that shows the property continuing to be used as a duplex in 2012. But then in 2017 and 2018, there's photographs of the property where the front entrance to the property to one of the duplex units was closed off, apparently indicating that the property was then used as a single family home. And so because of that blip sort of in time where it was used as a single family residence, the property went from legal non-conforming to non-conforming. Our client, like I said, bought the property as a duplex. The building is what I would call sort of a standard duplex, where there is a demising wall in the middle of the building, and then there is one unit on the left side and one unit on the right side. The left side has a front and a back entrance, and the right side has a front and back entrance. And it was the right side where those pictures that staff came up with indicated in 2017 and 2018 was closed off. So we're here requesting a conditional use for PDD, which allows the building to remain as a duplex. The record reflects that the property has a good history of being used as a duplex consistent with the conditional use factors. The use of the property as a duplex is also rational, I think, given that the property is on the very southern edge of the R4 district, with its southern neighbor being in the I2 industrial district. So I think it sort of rationally serves as a transition area from the south to the north, where it's industrial, then our client's multifamily duplex, and then single family north of our client. I think it's also rational, and, rationality is one of the standards for the PDD code provisions. Given that it also serves the county's, at least it further serves the county's desires for workforce housing. Obviously, the duplex units are lower in rent and more affordable than it would be to rent out the entire home.
I ask you to wrap up your 3 minutes.
Sure, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So there was a condition placed by the ZBA that the property, that the conditional use expire within 3 years. We're asking for that condition to be removed. We think it's better for not only our client in terms of being able to profit from either the sale or long-term hold, but it increases the value for the tax base and the tax rolls to keep it as a duplex as it always has been since 1900. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys may have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And lastly, we have the Joseph McNerney. I can't read your writing.
I'm McQueen.
McQueen, oh, okay, yeah, you're talking about item 6B. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, everyone. I represent Montanito. I'm just gonna read a short statement on their behalf. Montanito worked hard with the county and the community, including holding a community meeting in Naperville and addressing the concerns of one objector who was at the ZBA public hearing. The objector's identifying concern was about parking issues. As a result, we met with Paul Haas on site, created a parking plan, obtained a shared parking agreement, both submitted to the county. These actions have already resolved the parking issue. The ZBA confirmed they were meeting the requirements of the 3-year-old conditional use permit. On areas like no adverse impact on property values and traffic, our expert testimony and extensive studies confirmed that we're actually better than the original conservative studies done 3 years ago. This included a property across the street that recently sold for more than market value and faster than typical sales in the area, consistent with our original and recent confirmations of no adverse impact on the value of surrounding properties. At the same time, traffic was less than we projected and was once again shown by our traffic engineer to have no adverse impact on the community. A group home for eating disorders is a permitted use at the property. Approximately 3 years ago, this county board approved a conditional use permit to allow for this use as a group quarters with an additional 4 residents. The majority of residents at this facility are from the surrounding communities, and the additional 4 beds allowed for the conditional use permit are an important part of preserving the health of the community, as supported by the numerous letters of support which we have submitted, several of which indicate that this facility helped save and improve their daughters' lives. The fairly unique 3-year termination period in the former conditional use permit, now recommended to be 5 years by the ZBA, is a significant cost and burden on the facility and its mission. And we would appreciate the consideration of removing this restriction with the knowledge that we, like every use, are subject to compliance with the law. Montanito has proven their willingness to successfully work with the county and the community to ensure that they continue to do so. We're pleased that the ZBA has unanimously recommended approval once again for the removal of this conditional use permit, and appreciate your consideration of the renewal of the conditional use permit and removing the 5-year termination conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes the public comment portion of the meeting. We'll move on to approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the
So
minutes.
moved. Second.
The motion and a second. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions? Hearing none, saying none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Moving on to regulatory services, item 6A, DCO 38-24. Again, motion to approve zoning 24-6. Cermak Builders,
Second.
zoning, Board of Appeals recommended to approve this conditional use for land development to allow an existing duplex to remain on the subject property. There's a motion and a second. Paul, do you have any comments regarding, was mentioned by council, or any amendments regarding if it's the will of the committee to remove that 3-year?
So the zoning board of appeals put the 3-year time period on it, specifically because they are aware of the county workforce housing, the county housing solutions program, wherein the county will eventually be considering a text amendment to the zoning ordinance relative to accessory dwelling units. And so the zoning board of appeals put the 3-year time period on it to sort of correlate with what the county might be doing with accessory dwelling units. And their position was essentially that if we had a new regulation relative to accessory dwelling units, that might prevail and take precedence over this conditional use. I can tell you that the two are mutually exclusive from one another. So putting the 3-year time period on this relative to something that the county may do relative to ADUs in the future, they're really not connected. So there's really no reason in the staff's opinion to have that 3-year time period on it for that reason alone.
Any comments on anyone? Is there a motion to
I'll make a
amend
motion.
this? Motion to amend this to remove the 3-year period?
Yes.
By member Chaplin, or second? Krajewski seconded, okay. Any discussion on the motion as amended?
I was gonna say, this is a couple times that the zoning board keeps making recommendations based on something they think the county's maybe gonna do or gonna do. It's, so I see no need for it.
Okay. All right, we'll have there's a motion and a second on the amendment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The item is amended. Now we'll vote on the motion as amended. Your motion,
So moved. Second.
second. Any questions, comments on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries as amended. Moving on to item 6B, ECO 39-24. I'll entertain a motion to
So
approve
moved.
zoning 2417
Second.
80th Street investments. Recommend approval of renewing a conditional use for group quarters with a maximum occupancy of 12 residents located at 80th Street and Moyac Road. There's a motion and a second. Any questions, comments?
I'll move to amend. I think this is one we
Oh.
amend as well.
Okay, let's,
Unless Paul.
well, let's start with just the motion to approve it as we've got it. The motion. The motion and a second. Okay, discussion on that. Members of the committee?
Was this a motion to amend or?
No, we just, this is
Okay.
the motion to recommend as the ZBA has instituted. Okay, is there any discussion or a motion to amend this in any way, shape, or form?
Yes, I'll make a motion to remove the 5-year,
And I'll second
Provision.
that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to remove the 5-year period. Any discussion on either the amendment or the other? Start with member
Thank you,
Rutledge.
Chair. I just, if you've got a business trying to establish in our county and you're gonna tell them that, you got 5 years. I think that's crazy. So, I absolutely will support taking the conditional use off of this issue.
Member Rutledge.
No, I'm,
I'm sorry, member Ozak.
Tell us
us
how
Irish girls.
tell us how you really feel. Paul, do you have the same issue with this as well? Is there any particular reason why they put this 5-year on it or?
The concern was the concern that has occurred all the while, which is parking. And the petitioner, we believe, has mitigated that concern by, they haven't executed the agreements yet, but they have agreements with 2 offsite facilities to have additional parking for employees when there is overflow parking on the property. So they have committed to parking in the required parking spaces and then moving employee vehicles to the overflow leased parking facilities on special occasions. So that, the big concern for just having another 5 years to see how this use is working has really been mitigated.
Okay, so we could do that with everything if we wanted to, 5 years on. Okay.
And
And if it were 5 years or 50 years, the parking is a condition
That needed to be.
of the approval.
Of the approval, 100%, yes.
So for whatever reason, the parking became an issue, we'd be able to deal with it.
Yes.
Okay.
Others,
Thank you. Yeah, I've met with I toured the facility and I met with the, neighbors in that whole area before this was even, when it was only, a conversation when Montecito actually just bought the property. And, now at this point, all these years later, 3 years later, there's only one, person opposed to this and the facility does real amazing work. And I know that when I first spoke to, 25 people in the neighborhood after Montecito bought the property, their worries were traffic, emergency crews, property values, you know, all those things, and none of those things came to fruition. So I just wanted to give you my own perspective, having met with both sides of the issue. So of the 2025 people I met with 3 years ago, everybody else has said that it's not an issue for them anymore, except for one neighbor.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Any other discussion on either the underlying motion or the amendment? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the amendment. All is in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion is amended. And then I'll entertain a motion to approve 2417 as amended, removing the 5-year.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion on the motion is amended? All is in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion is approved as amended.
Excuse me,
We-
Mr. Chair.
On item C,
Thank you. Bye-bye.
take care. I'll entertain a motion to approve DCO 40-24 zoning 2422 Somerset Plaza. This is with the recommendation to deny conditional use to allow auto sales with auto repair in B1 local district. So motion, is there a second?
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Okay, we've heard from the petitioner. Paul, did you want to add anything to this before we have any questions?
Yeah, real quick, the zoning board of appeals, the reason for the denial was that, the petitioner is, on its face, appears to be asking for two separate uses. The ability to sell auto sales and also have car repair. In fact, it is just one use. It's auto repair on the property that you heard has been going on for quite some time on this, in the shopping center. The reason for the ability to also sell cars on the property, it's actually an ancillary use to the auto repair. When you have an auto repair and you fix the car and then the person doesn't pick it up, you want to be able to sell that car. The only way you can sell that car is to get a license from the state of Illinois. In order to get a license from the state of Illinois, you have to be approved in the zoning district to also sell auto or sell vehicles. So the zoning board of appeals felt that this was two uses on the property when in fact it's one use with an ancillary use of selling autos. In addition, the petitioner has demonstrated that there is more than ample room for this operation to occur in their tenant space in the building where all of the activity occurs. And there's more than ample room in the parking lot of this entire shopping center to have vehicles for employees and also vehicles for people dropping off their cars. So those were the concerns from the ZBA, and they're really unfounded because this is an ancillary use to the permitted use of auto sales as opposed to two uses.
Okay, any questions or discussion from, right? Member Evans?
So now I'm confused because I thought the ZBA vote was to deny, right?
Yes.
So,
It is to deny.
okay, but,
And the reason for that is they felt that there's two uses on the property.
okay, and then, so,
We take all our motions in the affirmative.
okay,
That may be what's confusing.
and then, I guess my question was, is this something, this has come before us before as far as like, didn't they want to do online sales of cars? Is this the same?
This is a separate use. There was another use, the outlaw use, that's the old McDonald's building where they wanted to do sales of vehicles, but it's the McDonald's outlaw building, not this facility, separate
Okay, they
use.
sound very similar
Yep.
to me. Okay.
Separate uses.
Yeah, I did have a question
Go
on
ahead.
this. But I'm trying to find the item here, which one are we on? 24. Oh, I'm sorry here. Because I thought I read on here, oh no, that's the wrong one. I thought I read on here that there weren't going to be any auto sales, that there were going to be online auto sales. That's what I thought. That's what I'm trying to find, unless I read something wrong.
So the McDonald's use was an online, the auto sales for the old McDonald's outlaw building was an online sales use. This use is primarily auto repair with the ability to sell these vehicles. And some of that sales does occur online, yes.
Okay, so, okay, just I want to make sure. So that they could be cars that nobody comes pick up or cars that are on. Have they been doing that online sales for a while too?
Well, it's our understanding that they have been, they've been doing auto repair for
Yeah.
probably over 40 years at this property in various iterations. I think the online sales is just that's just how you sell vehicles these days.
And I thought they were gonna, it always said like they would sell like a few a month or something like that. Okay, thank you.
So these people aren't in the business of selling cars.
Primarily it's auto repair.
Any other questions or comments on the motion? Okay, we have a motion to approve a conditional use to allow auto sales with auto repair. So if you vote aye on this, you will be voting to approve it, which is not what the zoning board of appeals recommended. So we want to roll call, please.
Member Chaplin?
Aye.
Member Rutledge?
Aye.
Member Krajewski?
Right.
And Chair Torrin Flynn?
Aye. And the motion to allow the conditional use is approved. And is that gonna require a 3/4 majority? No, it's not a
It's a
variation.
conditional use, so it doesn't require supermajority.
Got it, okay. Moving on to item 6D, DCO 41-24, I'll entertain a motion to approve zoning 24-27. Bates, the zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve variation and increase the
So
total
moved.
floor area ratio from the permitted 35% to approximately 39.59% for a new house with a detached garage. There's a motion or a second. Motion is second. Any questions, comments on this item? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, the motion carries. Moving on to item 6E, entertain a motion to approve 24-1825 T-1-4. These are text amendments to the DuPage County zoning ordinance. Zoning Board of Appeals recommended approval
So moved.
of the following zoning petition T-1-24A. Proposed text amendments to the DuPage County zoning ordinance relative to places of assembly, restaurants, fences, passenger and commercial vehicles, video gaming, recreation, accessory structures and buildings, and historic lots of record. ZBA voted to approve this 7-0. There's a motion. Is there a second to approve this? No one? Anyone? The second. Any questions on this, comments? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved. Any old business? Paul?
Mr. Chairman, on the video gaming, we'll be bringing this to county board next Tuesday, and we'll be asking to waive the first reading of this as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any old business, any new business? Any business of any? Okay. Hearing none, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all.